Hello guys, welcome to Captain Dorja's Armory. This is Captain Dorja. It has been a while, if anybody cares even a little bit about what's been going on. I'm not going to go over it again right now. I made an entire really terrible video to kind of explain what exactly has been going on basically since about last December. So yeah, there's that. If you're interested, feel free to check it out. Should be pretty easy to spot. Anyway, what I want to do right now is I want to take a look at a match that I played in the Mikhail Kutuzov yesterday. That would be August 28th, for the record. And the reason why I want to look at it is I've had this ship now for quite a while, a few months. I think I've only played 6 battles in it. And every time I play it, I just am, like, blown away by how great this ship is. Like, how do more people not just love the Mikhail Kutuzov? This thing is an absolute beast. Now, I will kind of make a couple of disclaimers here. I am not a very good cruiser player. Personally, I think cruisers are the hardest ship in the game to do well in. Incidentally enough, I have the most battles in cruisers out of any class. I primarily consider myself a battleship player, and then a destroyer player. And cruisers are, I'm really not very good at them. They're the most easy to do poorly in, and the most difficult to do well in. But man, this ship right here, she is strong. I'd also like to point out that I'm not much of a Russian cruiser player either. Like, I don't play cruisers that much. I don't play the Russian ones that much. This right here, the Budiani, this is the highest tier Russian cruiser that I have. It's really good. I like it a lot. It's a tier 6. It's a really good tier 6. But I don't play it that much. And, whatever. Like, I don't even play the Russian cruisers hardly at all. But I played the Kutuzov yesterday just to kind of say, just to see how it went. And holy cow. For about the 5th time, I'm just left wondering why I don't play this ship more. This ship is very good. Now, I want to give a quick rundown on my setup and my stats, and then we'll jump into the battle. So what I have right here, first of all, is the captain from my Budiani. He has basics of survivability to reduce the time that the ship burns. Now, I like that on cruisers. I like it on battleships also, but I like it on cruisers because cruisers don't have the ability to heal and to use the damage control quite as well as battleships do. So sometimes getting set on fire even twice can be really devastating in a cruiser. So I like to use basics of survivability to kind of help negate just how perilous it is to be set on fire. I also have an expert marksman on this ship, on this captain, to increase the turret traverse speed of these 152mm gun turrets. I take high alert on this ship because I want to be able to use my damage control party consumable a little bit quicker. Like I said before, fires can be really devastating to a cruiser just because you don't have that heal ability. The ability to put fires out quickly is something that I really like. But also, a lot of cruisers, they're pretty susceptible to losing their rudder or their engines. And so the ability to get your damage control cycled through off of cooldown that much quicker, I find to be very helpful. And lastly, I have Demolition Expert, adding 3% to the chance of fire on these excellent 152mm guns. Alright, so now moving on, let's take a look at the equipment that I have mounted on my Kutuzov. First of all, consumables. I have the regular damage control, just because, I don't know, I guess I'm cheap. I really probably ought to be using damage control too, although the reload time of 81 seconds is actually pretty quick, so I think maybe I'll stick with damage control 1. I also have defensive fire equipped on this ship, but just the standard version, because the Mikhail Kutuzov has really, really strong AA, and on the off chance that there is a carrier present, I like to be able to just blast planes out of the sky with no more substantial effort than pressing the T button. I would say that hydroacoustic, it probably wouldn't be the worst idea if I switched out to hydroacoustic. It definitely would have come in handy at one particular moment in the battle that we're about to show, but I didn't use it, so whatever. I also have the smoke generator 2, the premium version. I'm using the premium version for about 78 different reasons, so I'll just go through the highlights really, really quick. First of all, the Mikhail Kutuzov is one of about 3 cruisers in the game that get a smoke screen, and it is really, really powerful. So by using the premium smoke screen, I get 2 smoke charges instead of 1. Also, I have a whole bunch. Well, apparently I only have 6 left, but I have a whole bunch of the premium consumables for free that I've gotten from various events in-game. I don't use them on my destroyers ever, so I figured I might as well use them on my Kutuzov. So yeah, there we go. Those are my million reasons. Literally, I wanted an extra charge, and they're free. So yeah, that's my consumable setup. For equipment, I have main armaments modification 1 to just increase all the good things about my main armaments. 20% less chance of them being incapacitated, 50% more turret health, 20% quicker main battery repair time, less chance of torpedo tubes being knocked out, blah, 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 blah. I have the AA range module because, like I said, the Kutuzov actually has pretty phenomenal AA, so it is nice to be able to make good use of it. Aiming modification system 1 would probably be pretty good, but I really don't think the Kutuzov needs it. Its guns are awesome as it is. I also have the steering gears mod. I saw a recommendation to take steering gears mod on this ship because apparently it can lose its rudder quite often, so that's why I've taken that. I've actually done the same thing with the Atago. The Atago loses its rudder. Like, if somebody sees the stern of the Atago, the rudder falls off. That's really annoying. In the number 4 slot, I've got steering gears modification 2 to decrease the rudder shift time by 20%, and finally, concealment mod to lower our detection range. Now, with these captain skills, equipment, camouflage, oh, and one last thing, flags and camo. I forgot about that. The premium camo for the Mikhail Kutuzov gives it -3 detection, +4 dispersion of shells fired at this ship, and 50% XP. So that's pretty good. I also am mounting some flags on here. I have Zulu for +20% credits earned in battle. I have Zulu Hotel for 50% extra commander XP, and I have Papa Papa for +300% free experience earned with this ship. I do also have the Military Month Contributor flag, but I think I didn't have it on at the time. That gives 5% bonus credits experience and commander experience. So there's my my modules, my captain skills, and all that. And what that gives us is it gives us a detection range of 12.7 by sea, 8.4 by air, which is pretty reasonable stealth for a cruiser. Although I will point out my full concealment build Iowa actually has less detection range than this, but that's got a concealment expert captain, and this does not. This ship is reasonably fast, 33 knots. With the long, narrow hull, though, it doesn't turn particularly good, but the rudder shift is quick, so that's nice. The AA, really strong on these 100mm guns. They have long range, they do a lot of DPS, and these twin 37s also have pretty long range and do a lot of damage as well. One thing that's nice about this ship is it has 8-kilometer torpedoes. These are basically the same as the torpedoes on the Gremyashki, except you have a quintuple launcher on either side. So these are actually Russian cruiser torpedoes that are useful. I will use them in battle, but only once. And the big deal, though, is the main battery. They fire every 8 seconds. They rotate quickly, taking only 23 seconds to do a full 180-degree turn. Their dispersion is not very not very much at 165 meter maximum dispersion at 19.1 kilometers, which is really, really far. The chance of fire is 15% with Demolition Expert Captain, and 2200 AG damage. Also, with AP, you can do 3300 damage maximum, and since these guns fire a high velocity with a flat arc, armor-piercing ammo is definitely viable. Last but not least, the ship has a fair bit of health for a Tier 8 cruiser with 40,700. So let's get into battle with the Mikhail Kutuzov and see just what kind of havoc we can wreak. And spoiler alert, we can wreak quite a lot of havoc with this ship. Alright, so we are loading into battle in the Mikhail Kutuzov. And first thing we can see is that we're on the map Neighbors, and it is a domination map. So that's good. I like domination. And I don't mind the Neighbors map. It's not my favorite map ever, but it isn't terrible. Quick look at the team lists. 5 battleships on each team, as well as our team with 3 cruisers and 4 destroyers, and the enemy team with 3 destroyers and 4 cruisers. So running down through the team list, battleships look fairly comparable. 2 Tirpitzes on our side, 2 Bismarcks on the enemy side, 2 Scharnhorsts on our side versus a Scharnhorst and a Colorado on the enemy side. Now, I think I'd prefer to have 2 Scharnhorsts. They have more flexibility. The Scharnhorst is as tough as the Colorado. It doesn't have the raw firepower, but I'd say it has more versatile firepower. And with its mobility advantage, I just think I would rather have a Scharnhorst. Lastly, for battleships, our team has a Fuso, the enemy has a Bayern. I really don't know enough about the Bayern to comment, but I think they're both pretty good. For cruisers, my team has a Pensacola and an ARP Miyoko in a division, and my Mikhail Kutuzov. The enemy has an Atago, a Pensacola, a Shores, and a Nuremberg. So, slight cruiser advantage to the enemy, but more than made up for by our team's pretty pronounced destroyer advantage, with a Benson, Fubuki, Bliskavika, and Anshan being opposed by 2 Fubukis and a Mayhan. So those are the teams. Now, initially in chat, my team decides that they're going to go real heavy for B and C, and my initial plan is to go use the really long range, just annoying nature of the Mikhail Kutuzov's guns to harass any enemies that attack the A point. And what I'm thinking is I'm going to be doing a lot of long-range firing and, setting fire to battleships, trying to push into the cap, that sort of thing. But it turns out no one on my team, literally no one, decides to come that direction. And I decide it's probably a bad idea to be that far out in the open. And I don't know why this replay has no sound. Okay, there we go. I was about to get really, really worried. So, there's not a lot of people headed over here, but yet, at this point in time, I haven't yet noticed. I'm just, I'm using my long range to take pot shots at whatever's available. So we've got the broadside of a Bismarck, that's a big target. Let's let fly. Yeah, I'm missing him as he turns. And I can see that the enemy is, there's not really any enemies in range. Take a couple of pot shots at the Shores. I do go for an AP salvo since he's giving me his broadside, but he despawns really quickly. At this point, I still haven't yet noticed that I am the only person on my team headed towards A. I think I pegged that fact right about now. The Shores is heading for A. There's clearly a destroyer already in A. And it's right about here that I decide I need to get out of here. Oh, and the enemy Bayern is heading to A. So we've got a destroyer in A. Who knows what it is? I think it turned out to be the Mayhan. But seriously, who knows? It could be the Fubuki, I don't know. There's a Shores, and there's a Bayern coming. So I fire my torpedoes as I retreat, and shoot off a couple of rounds at the Bayern, manage to light him on fire. That enemy Fubuki is a dangerous target, and he's in a really, really stupid position, so I cut loose with a couple of salvos at him, dealing a little bit of damage, setting him on fire, and our Benson gets the kill. So, scratch one enemy destroyer. Our team now has a massive destroyer advantage with 2 Tier 8 destroyers, a Bliskavika, and an Anshan against just a Fubuki and a Mayhem. I managed to hit that enemy Bismarck 4 times, but it shows all my shells destroyed. 6 more hits, all shells destroyed. Now, I don't know if destroyed HE shells really means that much, because HE shells don't penetrate. Also, I know those ribbons aren't entirely accurate. I've had them show, like, I've had those ribbons say that with armor-piercing ammo on the Iowa, that I hit a target and scored 1 over penetration, and that was it. But looking at the damage that I dealt, I had to have scored 1 over penetration and 1 penetration, and the ribbons were just wrong. So I don't really put a lot of stock in those detailed hit ribbons most of the time. Oh, hello, Sea Cleaner. Thank you for interrupting me. Soddeth off. So, since my determination that I really didn't want to be around in A all by myself, I've really just been cruising kind of the center of the map on my team spawn, shooting at whatever happens to be making itself an easy target. And, we've scored some hits, lit a couple of fires, done a little bit of damage, but so far really nothing special. Now, I'm continuing with a little bit of long-range harassing fire on this Baron, which is probably really, really annoying, because I'm pretty much willing to guarantee that I outrange him by, like, 4 kilometers. But there's really not a lot that he can do about me, and the enemy team is just so concentrated between B and C that there are just targets galore. And I decide that I need to light this enemy Bismarck on fire, but I believe he's reversing, and it took me a couple of salvos to figure it out. And there we go, I start figuring it out, putting a little bit of super elevation on, and we start dropping some shells on his deck. No fires though, so the damage was pretty minimal. I don't like the look of those 2 Scharnhorsts over there, or that Scharnhorst and that Colorado, or whatever it is over there. And I would like to try and get some shots in on them, but there's a mountain in the way. So instead I go for the Nuremberg, but he is comprehensively obliterated by our Tirpitz. Now we see the enemy Mayhem, but I don't notice him in battle, and instead I notice the fat broadside of this Bismarck. And I actually fired AP at the Bismarck because I had it loaded for use against the Nuremberg. I'll be interested to see if I do any damage with it. It looks like I missed. I honestly couldn't remember. But we've got the HE back in as we fire on the Colorado, scoring 7 hits, dealing 2,000 damage outright, and starting a fire. So I shift my focus to kind of more of the forward portion of his ship, and I managed to light him on fire in a 2nd place. Now I'm trying to get my shells to drop onto his bow to light him on fire in a 3rd place, and there you go. 3 salvos, 3 fires, baby. That Colorado is in trouble. So I figure at this point that the Colorado will either burn to death or he'll use damage control and put those fires out. So it is time for me to fire on another target. So I switch my fire to this Bismarck, and as you can see, I quickly light the Bismarck on fire in 2 places. I've used my smoke screen, I'm stopped in my smoke, so I'm, pretty much impervious to the enemy here, and have a complete free reign. Now that the Colorado's come back into sight, and he's not on fire, and he's not dead, that means that his damage control is on cooldown. So if I light him on fire again, he is screwed. So I start the 1 fire, and I switch onto this Bismarck, because there's no point in me shooting at that Colorado. He's dead. Immediately we hit the Bismarck and light him on fire again. You can see my damage is quickly mounting up, as I've set 9 fires. I do take a pot shot at the enemy Mayhem, and I did notice the Fubuki spotted up around... Where's my cursor? Yeah, brains. Well, anyway, I did notice the Fubuki spotted around near that farthest back battleship, and so, as a cruiser with rapid-firing 6-inch guns, I'm a good candidate to do something about that Fubuki, So as soon as I can get myself unstuck, it is my plan to go try and kill this Fubuki. But just because I'm stuck doesn't mean I'm out of the fight. Get my rear guns into action against this Baron while I back myself off the rocks. I've obviously got a couple more fires going, as I could see dot ticks while I wasn't even shooting. So at this point in time, I've lit 11 fires with 106 hits and have dealt over 77,000 damage. And there's quite a bit more of this match left to go. And there we go, 12th fire, shooting at the Bismarck over a rock. I apologize for the derpy nature of the camera. I want to leave it in fixed camera mode so you can see what I'm doing while I play the match. I try to switch targets a lot with the Kutuzov. You get a target burning, you get them to use their damage control. While you wait for their damage control to, while you wait for it to wear off, you engage somebody else and set them on fire and get them to use their damage control. Once that's done, you go back to the first guy. Now this Bismarck is on fire and aground, so I figure it should be pretty easy to walk my shells up and down his deck and get him on fire in a couple of other places and, you know, have him burned down. But I now have more pressing matters as I have detected the Fubuki. And here's where we have a little bit of a Jaws moment. I'm closing down the Fubuki, and he pops smoke. Now there is literally nothing I can do to that Fubuki while he's in the smoke screen. He is, you know, entirely invulnerable as long as he stays in the smoke. Like, I wouldn't be able to see him. I would have no counterplay options other than to blind fire at him, and he would have the entirety of the initiative. But he chooses to come out of the smoke, and I'm able to kill him with a combination of guns and torpedoes before he can be a serious threat to me. And since he telegraphed his torpedo launch by turning like that, I was able to easily turn away preemptively and avoid his torpedoes. So there's my first kill. We're up to 111,000 damage now with 138 gun hits and a torpedo hit. So I'd call this a pretty successful match, especially considering I probably haven't played this ship in 3 months, and I think it was only my 6th battle ever in the Mikhail Kutuzov. So yeah, things are going well. Looks like the enemy just have a battleship left, and he appears, he might be AFK, I don't remember. But, at any rate, I don't think I get into action with him. So that's likely to be the end of my battle. 138 hits, 13 fires, 3 incapacitations, 4 base capture resets, 2 secondary hits, a flood, a torpedo hit, a kill, Witherer, devastating strike, and some sort of commemorative medal with 110,809 damage done. That is what I would call quite a solid match, especially in a ship that I'm basically unfamiliar with. So yeah, I don't understand why more people don't play the Mikhail Kutuzov. This thing is seriously a powerful, powerful cruiser. So let's take a look at some post-game stats. You can find this replay on wowreplays.com. It is titled, "Holy crap, the Kutuzov is good, why don't I play this ship more?" For a battle description, I've written seriously, I forgot to mute Facebook. I've written seriously, the ship is amazingly powerful. I had a guy ask me on the forums when the last time I thought the Kutuzov was a real threat, and he laughed at me when I said, quote, "every time I see one in battle." I stand by that statement, as I deal a casual 75,000 damage via the most balanced mechanic in the game. Fires! Our Fubuki driver got a staggering 3,088 base XP. I would absolutely love to see this replay, to see his replay, because his game must have been epic. I spread my damage around enough that I needed to expand to my third screenshot to show the last 2 targets. So, post-battle results. We've seen this part. We know all about it. Managed to get 552,000 credits before expenses and 6,900 XP with 1,384 free XP. That number is so big because of the Papa Papa flag. That's multiplying our free XP by a factor of 300%, so that's a big increase. You can see in the team score, our Fubuki, he had a ludicrous game with 3 kills. I don't know what hero of battle he got, but I think he must have done a lot of capping, a lot of cap denying, and a lot of damage, because that is a lot of XP. I thought I'd had a good match with 2137 base XP, and he made me look like a complete klutz. So hats off to that Fubuki. He must have had a crazy game. Although, to be fair, the Fubuki is incredible. So, here we have the detailed report. I think it's interesting. I only got shot 11 times in that match, and they were high explosive shells, and they did a total of 2,904 damage to me. So yeah, great success. Mikhail Kutuzov, toughest ship NA. Gun battery wise, I hit 138 out of 483 shots fired with HE. Now the HE shells only did 34,338 damage, but I lit 13 fires, which did 75,009 damage, which seems slightly bullcrap to me, personally, but whatever. I get fire spammed to death way more than I should because I play a lot of battleships, so every now and then it's kind of nice to be on the giving end of the fire stick than on the receiving end. And you can see the damage that we did right here. We did 8,000 damage to the Fubuki and killed him. We did 31,500 to Nukerton's Bismarck, 26,500 to Ripslinger 2's Colorado, 24,000 to Zona's Bairn, 11,900 to Captain Oddball's Bismarck, 5,000 to Monkey's Mahan, 2,000 to Lupin's Fubuki, and 1,400 to Frey 929's Scharnhurst. So that's a pretty decent spreading around of the damage. I don't really care that much about any of this stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is. Oh, and 1,400 damage from the torpedo. Great success. Although, to be honest, I only fired 10, and I fired 5 of them in area denial mode, and the Kutuzov's torpedoes have okay range, but 5 8-kilometer torpedoes is really not going to be effective area denial, but whatever. We did it anyway. And the Prophet's screen, I expanded everything and didn't realize that it had expanded off of my view, so that is pretty nice. But you can see with the really low cost of operating this ship, I got to take home almost the entirety of that base credits. You can also see the effect of the Zulu flag. It got me an extra 92,000 credits. So we take home 52,7356 credits, which is a lot, over 500,000. That's what we like to see with our Tier 8 premiums. And 6,900 XP and 1,384 free XP, partly because of the daily win bonus, partly because of the Type 10 camouflage, which adds an extra 50%, and partly because of the Papa Papa flag for the bonus to free XP. Now, it's cut off because I'm a retard, but I think I would have gotten, I think I got somewhere in the order of 12,000 Commander XP, just something absolutely ludicrous. I don't even know. I got a lot of Commander XP in that battle. No, I got 12,000 in the Dunkirk that day. That's what that was. Never mind. The 12,000 Commander XP, that was a totally different match in the Dunkirk. But guys, that was a just really, really good battle that I had with the Mikhail Kutuzov. I think it was only the 6th or 7th battle I've ever played in the ship. I don't know why I don't play this ship more. It is really, really good. It is really, really fun. It is really, really powerful. And it rakes in money like you would not believe. Man, it's just a great boat. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that video in the Mikhail Kutuzov. I definitely enjoyed that match. And I've been talking to our Fubuki driver from that match, and he said that he is going to upload his replay, and when he does, I am going to watch it, and if it is a crazy battle, I am definitely going to upload a replay of his version of this exact same battle in the Fubuki. So if you're interested, stay tuned for that. It has potential to be pretty freaking sweet. Anyway, guys, have a good one. That's all. Bye-bye.